Well, after 9/11, 2001, and we went into Afghanistan and then Iraq, we began having veterans, warriors, coming back that were severely wounded. And a group of veterans who had served previously in Roanoke, Virginia, actually, in 2003, said there should be something we can do that would help these warriors. And the initial effort was to put together packages that would have toiletries and toothbrushes and underwear, the kind of things you'd need for an extended stay in the hospital, because the warriors were coming into the hospital in the same battle dress that they were wounded in. That was quickly discarded, and they didn't have any of their personal effects. So those packages had a role to play in that, and that was the beginning back in 2003. And since then, of course, it has grown to encompass a lot more services than that. Well, starting with that package, we wanted to do something, the Wounded Warrior Project wanted to do something that would allow the beginning to the end, and the end being an enhancement of the lifestyle of that wounded warrior that could be retrained, put back into the workforce or whatever he or she chose to do. So those services now range from those same packages, we still do that, to soldier rides, and that is where we see them coming together. Sometimes on their bicycles, you'll see some really interesting machines that they have to do to accommodate the injuries that these warriors have sustained. But they're together, and they're showing that they're outdoors, and they're physical, and they're capable, and that's very important to them to do. So the soldiers' rides, which let people who have similar traumatic memories come together and be able to talk to one another, something that you and I can't do as well as they can do among themselves. So the soldier rides are very popular. And then there's things like the caregivers. You know, people are thrust into roles they didn't expect to be in. A mother, a wife, a husband perhaps, are now into a role of a caregiver that they didn't think they would be in, and they're not trained to do that, but they do a very good job of it, the best that they possibly can. But the Wounded Warrior Project can provide times for those caregivers to come together, to rest, also to meet each other, to build a support group, and then to learn some techniques to go back and to better serve their warriors when they return home. We also know that some of these warriors had other ideas about what they would do in their life after they left the military, but that's closed to them now because of their injuries. So there's an academy that has been built by the Wounded Warrior Project that was built to be student-centric around these kinds of people with the kinds of injuries and needs that they have, and to educate them, retrain them, and prepare them then for their new life. And then finally, moving into a placement where we work with industry. The Wounded Warrior Project works with industry to place these veterans there who now have this new skill set that is marketable and is very useful. So that starts at the hospital in Germany and then leads to employment or whatever direction they want their life to take. That's the role that the Wounded Warrior Project takes on. We also need an awareness on the American people of who these people are, what they can do to help. You know, they're not big numbers. If you look at the entire military, less than 1% of our population serves in the military at any one time. The rest of us now have an opportunity to help, to pay them back for their sacrifice, and to be something that we can give to them as they sacrifice so much to us. So I see this gamut of starting at the hospital and ending up with the new reality as they describe it. That's something that the Wounded Warrior Project enables all along that continuum. I sure can. You know, to date, the Wounded Warrior Project has helped more than 10,000 of these warriors as they come back from war. And if you go to the website, they have some of the most compelling stories that they'll touch your heart. I promise you they will. But the one that is compelling to me is the story of a Army lieutenant by the name of Dan Brzezinski. Lieutenant Brzezinski was leading a platoon in Afghanistan when he stepped on an IED, an improvised explosive device. It blew off his right leg at the hip and his left leg just above the knee. And he lay there so unstable for a week that he couldn't be moved out of Afghanistan, but eventually came back for months at Walter Reed and then outpatient for another additional 18 months. And he tells a story of when he was in Afghanistan. It happened minutes after the explosion, and he's lying in the same crater which the explosion occurred, and he hears people yelling at him to open his eyes. And he says, I was lying there with my eyes closed, and he said, I knew if I never opened my eyes, I would die, and I would never have to put up with these terrible wounds which he knew that he had. But he said, if I opened my eyes and I allowed the medical people to do their work, I would probably live. And then he thought about his family, and he knew that they would be devastated if they ever found out that he had given up. So Dan Brzezinski opened his eyes and kept them open for as long as he could until he passed out. Now, Dan Brzezinski today, if you were to go to the Washingtonian magazine, there's an article on Dan Brzezinski that shows him with his new legs at the company that made them, and they're adjusting the microprocessors and trying to make the way the motion works with his speed and balance the best that they can. So here's a warrior that I think exemplifies the courage that so many of these warriors have, that so severely wounded and now is moving past that to a new life, and he's doing so with a great spirit. And I believe it is that the Wounded Warrior Project, looking for technology that enables a better life for these soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines who come back from war, that we can do the best we can for them. That's just one story, and there's thousands of them that you should read and be, it will just move you. I know that it will. I say there's two goals. Of course, the first goal is to raise funding that could go to the Wounded Warrior Project and provide all those services that I just spoke about. The other goal is for the public to come out and support those Wounded Warriors and have a good time while they do it. Bring their families, get into the events, whether that's golf or a 5K race, or whether you want to play tennis, or just come to the Country and Western Festival that night with the bands that are going to be their top-notch bands. And so the family can support these Wounded Warriors. It's a very good cause, and enjoy themselves while they do that. So the event, we hope to raise, after we pay all the expenses, over $100,000. Our target's $165,000. And this team of volunteers are so dedicated, none of them are paid. 100% of what we get after expenses will go to the Wounded Warrior Project. To volunteer, they can go to our website, and there is actually an interactive button they can push that has volunteer written on it to volunteer, and it will show them who to talk to and how to register to be a volunteer. And of course, there are numbers that are there as well, and we're all happy to answer questions if it comes to that. So the website is the key, and I hope that a lot of people that when they find out about this event will come. I think they'll find it will be something they'll remember, and they'll go away pleased that they were able to serve. Pretty much the same way. They can go to that website and click on either donate or sponsorship. And we have a lot of sponsorships that allow a company to pick what fits their budget. What is the timing of it? What do they want to do? And we would be happy to have any company to provide that sponsorship. Or I will personally come and talk to a company if they want more information and I know about it. I'd be happy to come and talk to them. And there's others like me who would be pleased to do that as well. So the companies can go to our website or they can call us directly, but there's a lot of choices in which companies can get involved. And of course, they are the ones who really are able to do a sponsorship with meaningful things that go. The community will help. They're part of that community. We hope that they will join us in that. The website address is TCSWW.org. Now that website is really an interactive website. It has a lot of information on there. It even has a link to the Wounded Warrior Program website for more information about what they do. But you can volunteer off that website, you can donate off that website, you can get a sponsorship off that website. And of course you can get all information about concerts and activities that we're having. So that is the key, and that was TCSWW.org. That's a very important question, and I appreciate your asking it. There's two parts. There's a part we'll have at Trophy Club when we have this event where we will receive funding, and because we're an all-volunteer organization, 100% of the net proceeds of what we take in on that day and sponsorships will go to the Wounded Warrior Project. Now, the Wounded Warrior Project will send 82% of what they receive out to the Wounded Warriors. And that's really for a nonprofit organization to be able to have a national organization such as they do, they're headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida, to be able to spend less than 20% in administrative costs and funding needed to raise other funds for the Wounded Warriors to receive. 82% is a good record. So 100% of our net proceeds from Trophy Club will go to them, and 82% of what they have will go out to serve those Wounded Warriors. Well, I've been around warriors all my life, over 34 years in the Marine Corps, and I served in Vietnam and Desert Storm, and so it was a natural for me when some friends came to me and said they'd like to create something that would serve Wounded Warriors, and I'd readily held my hand up and said I'd like to be part of that as well. So we formed a corporation, a 501c3 corporation, specifically for this purpose of raising these funds, having this day, and we hope it's going to be an event that will go on year after year to continue to support these warriors. But it was a natural for me to get involved and very much a rewarding thing to do.